So welcome everyone. I think we are going to start now, and what better way to start than a brief performance of some traditional Chinese music to get us all into the right feeling and start this right atmosphere. So we've been very grateful to a couple of our friends who are sending in this wonderful piece of music.
Hey, George, there is no any sound. We cannot hear the sound.
Oh, okay. I can hear the sound on mine. I'm not sure why that would be. That's a shame. So I'm sorry you can't hear the sound. I have quite a lot of the sound myself. I'm hoping you can hear me. So let's move on. If we can't hear the sound, audio setting in the share. Thank you. I'm not entirely sure where that would be. Share computer sound. There we go. Let's start that one again. Let's try this. So, welcome everyone then to today's session. I'm very grateful that we've asked people for this performance, and today is a special day. Today is the first day of the new year, of the year of the ox. So the idea of today's session is to try to have an interactive session and to try to share some of the traditions and some of those meanings of the traditions around Chinese New Year. And I've asked our Chinese colleagues and some of our Chinese teachers to join me in sharing their ideas. So I'll be showing some pictures and I'll be asking our audience to share their thoughts about the traditions and also perhaps find out what you actually know already about these things, because that would be that's just going to provide some authenticity about what's been going on and what those traditions are. So I have Yiming and Feng Liang who are ready to share their expertise. We were hoping to be joined by Wen Zhuan soon. She's not with us yet, but let us get started. If you have any questions about today, if you have any questions or comments, please put them into the chat and share them with us, because we'd love to hear input and experiences and thoughts from our audience. So let us begin with this picture here. Now, this picture, I'm sure that our Chinese colleagues are very aware, so I'm going to ask them to just hold off for a moment. But I would like people in the chat to see if is anyone aware of what I am showing you. What is this picture of, do we think? So I'm sure Feng Liang and Yiming, you will certainly know this one, I hope. But for those of you who are attending, please put your thoughts into it. So what have we got here? So thank you, Feng Liang. Yes, we know. Anyone know? Nian means year. It is a monster. So for our attendees, hopefully some of you will be aware that Chinese New Year is a very, very big and very old experience. So this all starts from a lot of the traditions and a lot of the ideas from Chinese New Year start from this story. Chinese dragon. Alex, that's a good guess. Alex, this is not actually a Chinese dragon, but Chinese dragon is very important in the zodiac, and we are going to be talking about that later on. So what this is, as Feng Liang has said in the chat, this is the monster or the guaiwu called Nian. Now, this is a very old story, and it underpins some of the central traditions around Chinese New Year. So Liang or Yiming, well, Liang Feng, you have said that this is Nian. So could you share with us what's the story behind this?
Okay, let me just tell the story briefly. This is a monster, we call it Nian. Actually, Nian, also it means New Year. So in ancient China, the monster Nian came to China to attack people at Chinese New Year Eve. So people try to set up a firecracker and put red stuff on the door to scare the monster Nian away. So we say 过年 just how to say just to celebrate. We scared the Nian away and survived. Yeah, that's for the very simple short story.
Okay, so yeah. What then are the traditions, and what are some of the ideas that we get from this story? So as we say, this story, as I said, there are certain traditions that come from this story. So what would those be? You mentioned the firecrackers to scare Nian. I'm also, so firecrackers is something that's very, very important here. But is there also the color red is involved in this story, I believe. So Nian is afraid of the color red.
Yes, we had like a red lantern at the door and put the we call it New Year couplets on the door and to scare Nian away. Yeah.
So from this story, again, the idea of this story, the color red, you see it all around. You can see it in my background. These lanterns. It's a vital color, and the loud noises, the firecrackers, to scare away Nian. So starting with the story, is I always find is a great way to look at some of this background and the history to figure out what we're going on through today. And I'm sure every child in China learns about this story, and you can find on some of the Western stories. I was trying to see this more and more for children's books and ideas. So I'm going to ask again. So for our Chinese teachers, hopefully keep quiet. I'm going to ask what this character is. Finally, I just mentioned hanging areas. So any of our students want to hazard a guess? What character is this that someone has posted up in the window? This is quite an important character. It's something we will see all around China over the Chinese New Year. Can anyone recognize this character? I mean, even if you don't know the pinyin or the Chinese, perhaps try to take a guess of what it might mean. So I'd love to hear from our audience. Now, I know that Yiming and Liang and Wenjuan, you are aching to tell us what this means. So as I said, if there are guesses, please throw them into the chat. But Alex, prosperity is a great guess. Prosperity, thank you, Alex. A great guess for prosperity. It's not far off. Yiming says, yeah, good blessing. So this character, as I say, you've seen, this is the character Fu. So, and that is I believe it is a first tone. So I'm sure my colleagues will correct me when I make mistakes. Second tone, of course, it's Fu Fu. Yeah. My Chinese tones are appalling. The character Fu, and this stands for luck. And as I've said, this is one of the most common characters around the New Year. And as Alex said, prosperity would be sort of hopefully one of the parts for luck, one of the wishes. So if you're going to have good luck, you would prosper. And I think that's very much one of the ideas. Interestingly, this character is very often placed upside down. Not in this picture, but it's very common to see that this character is put up upside down on doors and in a lot of the decorations. And that's partly because of the meaning for being upside down is fu dao le. So it's upside down, but that also sounds like luck has arrived. So there is, you will often see, I found that quite interesting when I was in China to see that the character was upside down, and it was very unusual to see to see that that's an upside down character. I can recognize it's upside down, but not knowing why, and seeing other characters around that were the correct way up. It's an unusual one, but you will see it very, very often.
I remember when I was a child, and people, I mean, my family members, they put the fu upside down to the wall. And in the meantime, I don't understand why it should be upside down, but they told me the story about why it is, because it's kind of a costume, and also let children know how exactly the culture will be. Really meaningful.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and it's great to share what the feelings are. So turning things upside down, it does have a meaning. I know that there is a lot of Chinese traditions that are based on words sounding similar. So fu dao is a fascinating one. Learning why do some lucky things happen, and part of it is simply because things sound similar.
Yeah, just like the manner and related to the hope.
So let's move on. So as we've mentioned, as I mentioned, also one of the things that people will do is place this character fu onto people's front doors, and they will also place poems, so poetic couplets, around the door. These are called duilian, and they're also aimed at bringing prosperity. So I'm pretty sure for myself, we can see the character fu in the middle. There's maybe a couple of characters around that I can recognize, but I'm interested for my colleagues, for Wenchuan. Would anyone like to share, what does this say? Perhaps Yiming, could you tell us what does this poem, what do these couplets actually say?
Should I read the left? Should I read the right and Yiming read
please
the left?
Yes.
So from the right is 福星高照全家福
and 春光耀辉满堂春
and for the little one, could we
大展宏图 This is so Chinese. Normally we just
George, can you recognize there any characters you know and guess the meaning?
For myself?
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing I do know is, again, the top characters, the characters at the top of the door, we're reading them from right to left, which is something that we're not unusual. That's a very traditional way. And it's interesting. I'm curious, how do you know when to read right to left and left to right?
I guess you have to speak for Chinese like 20, 30 years, you will know that.
I think it just makes more sense, I imagine, from right to left. It's not something we could possibly do in English. Obviously, I know da. Is that Bing? No.
展 大展
Da zhan. No, as I say, my Chinese reading, especially when there's calligraphy like this, is very difficult. Obviously, we know the chun on the left. So what does this basically mean?
So 福星高照全家福means all of our families was blessed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with good fortune. And 春光照辉满堂春 means the spring light is arrive our home and everything is really, all the wishes, I mean. And 大展宏图 means we have a good future.
Okay, great. Yeah. So generally, as I say, with the through line with this is always seems to be around good luck and good fortune. Yeah. It's generally around the money. So let's moving on. So these are fascinating, and I think it's interesting to now look at how people go around and getting this and what effect this has. So we've been sent a couple of videos from very short vlogs from our colleague in China that I'd like to share to show what does this actually look like for people who are in China and what their daily life is.
As one of the traditional activities, Chinese people will go shopping and buy new items for the Spring Festival. On the occasion of the Spring Festival, shopping malls are prepared a large number of holiday goods for the customers. Purchasing new items symbolizes welcoming good luck and getting ready for a new year.
So, as you can see in this short video, everything is red. There's so much that people can go and spend and buy with the lanterns, with these duilians, with these full pictures. The feeling around these shops and feeling around in China is very, very red. I think it's fair to say. And as we've mentioned as well earlier, the monster Nian was very, very afraid of the loud noises. So that leads to a large amount of fireworks, firecrackers, all around the new year, all around the new year period. We can see in these pictures. But I'm curious, for myself and my experience, there are quite large differences between the firework displays and the fireworks that we see in China and those that we're perhaps used to in the West. And I'm curious, what, if any, differences that people could guess? What do we think the differences between the way that people in China use fireworks? What's the focus of the fireworks compared to what we might expect when we see fireworks in the UK, perhaps around our own New Year and December 31st, or on fireworks night on the 5th of November. So again, I welcome any comments in the discussion. So this would be worth thinking about as well. When we look at fireworks, we also try to think about in China, there's a focus as well on firecrackers as well as fireworks. So, so I'll ask Yiming then. So, what Yiming? What is the purpose of the firecrackers?
So initially, it is to scare the Nian away, the monster,
Mm-hmm.
and later on, it just becomes a celebration.
But why so the firecrackers, they don't really look of anything, do they? There's not much about the looks. It's all about, well, noise, isn't it?
Yes, that's how you scare monsters away.
Just loud noise and a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some people such as me are obsessed with the smoke.
Yeah, me too. I enjoy that.
When you say obsessed with the smoke, what do you mean?
Like the fire smokes of the fireworks and the matches. A little bit weird. We are not going to talk about this now. But like nowadays in China, the fireworks can cause a lot of pollutions and noises. So like in major cities in China, and the government forbid people to do that. So instead, they will hold big ceremonies. So the government will do the fireworks at some certain like a viewpoint, so everybody can see that, or like make it online.
Yeah.
I think that's from my experience is very much the perhaps the difference is becoming much smaller now, but in the UK and in the West, the fireworks are similar to what you were suggesting. The governments or local bodies would put on very elaborate fireworks displays, whereas traditionally in China, it's not so much about the extravagant looks of the fireworks, it's more quantity. I think was very much the order, in that whereas in the UK people would go to see a fireworks show, in China, certainly before the government started to crack down on fireworks, every single person, every single family in the city would be setting off their own firecrackers and fireworks.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's I think it's best described as having a wall of sound. It's when I was in China, my first Chinese New Year would have been 2007 in China, and about 10 o'clock in the morning or so, 10 o'clock in the morning, you could start hearing around the city that people were starting to set off firecrackers now and then. But throughout the day, it would just the noise would just build, and the gaps between fireworks would get shorter and shorter until throughout the evening it's just noise. It's just white noise, and at midnight it's just there's this insane surrounding of fireworks going off across the city, and the noise is something that was
Yes. Yeah.
it's hard to describe because it's just
You sleep
Yeah.
with the background noise.
oh, there's no chance to sleep with a fire in that.
Actually, we can sleep.
I think it's also like we have to set up the fireworks, the crackers at the midnight because the New Year has arrived. So you do that. And sometimes in China, you will see the new restaurant or the new store when they open, they will also do that. So one of the reasons is like to scare the bad luck away. So for the past year, you have something that's not good. So you just like scare them away and welcome a new future.
Yeah, that's right. Have you heard yesterday there's few firecrackers in the midnight in Coventry?
Oh, I didn't. Oh my God.
I have.
We're only 5 minutes away. But I didn't.
That long, yeah.
No, I did not hear any here. So let's move on. And then the next question, again, I'd love to hear this. This is probably something that people will be more aware of. So why am I going to show a picture of this? So for in the chat, what's the relevance of this picture here? I mean, it's a beautiful mountain in the background. It's a rather cute looking, well, it's a cow with the horn. So why would I show this picture around Chinese New Year, especially around this year? I think, Alex, this is something that you've touched on earlier. I mean, exactly right there. This was hopefully the easy question. So we're coming into the year of the ox. Ox basically is a cow. Well, it literally is a cow. So thank you, Alex Osborne, for that. That's if there were gifts, would you be getting one? So obviously we are now coming into the Chinese New Year of the ox, or the niu in Chinese. So what does it mean? So Liang or any of us, what are the characters of the year of the ox?
You mean what's the meaning of the Chinese character?
No, what's the meaning of the year of the ox? So
okay, actually there are like a Chinese zodiac story. There are 12 Chinese zodiac sign. So this is the second Chinese new like a zodiac sign, Niu.
So is there some sort of a meaning or behind being a year of the cow? When you talk about the Chinese, the zodiac, do we ascribe certain? Is it
legend, right?
Be a cow, for example?
This is ox, not cow. There is a legend, a story, ancient story. The empire, the heaven empire, just I don't know how to tell the story. How about my colleague, Mr. Ren, or
there we go. Well, Yiming has now said that the people born in the year of the ox are usually very hardworking.
Yeah, we got like a superstition customers, as you know, and we believe that certain zodiac bring some like certain personalities. So normally, because like ox or the cow, they work in the field, and we used to be the agriculture countries. So we just believe people who belong to this zodiac will normally do the hardworking people. And normally they will have solid payment, maybe not that much, but a solid payment because you got the agriculture thing going. If that is what you want to know.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing for myself is looking at the differences, because as we've got here, every year has its own animal, and we see there are many stories about the orders and the different things. And it's interesting for me to try to think about what are some of the differences between the meanings behind an animal, because when we, for example, an ox, if we call someone an ox, that might have a negative meaning in the UK, but it might have a positive meaning in China. Similarly with the rooster or chicken, or especially a snake.
Well,
some of these might be positive.
I'm a snake.
Yeah, but in the West, if someone says, when we think of a snake, or if we call someone a snake, it would certainly not generally be a positive thing.
Yes, yeah.
But in China, that's perhaps right. And one aspect is similarly, my wife is a pig, but she really does not like me saying that.
Oh, actually, pig is quite nice because like people believe the pig having a relaxed life, just like sleeping and don't worry about everything, sleeping, eating. So just like assume people who belong to that kind of zodiac will have like an easy life.
It's interesting. So how about a dog?
Oh, dog is like the loyalty animal, and they live with the people, and they are like the guardians of the family. So dogs are quite nice. There are some certain animals, and we prefer a lot, such as the year 2000 is a year of the dragon. So you will see a lot of babies in that year because people want to give their children a good son. Or like the year of tiger, the year of the monkey are popular ones. So sometimes it's like, oh, we need to have a baby for the next year. Maybe we need to get married this year. So just people.
It's interesting. So we can ask our guests to share which years are our guests, and you can perhaps tell us something about them. So have a look through. I asked about the dog because this is my year. I was 82. I'm just about
82. It's also my year. Yeah, it's also my Chinese zodiac. 82. Yeah.
So yeah, they're showing our age, obviously. And there you go. So my daughter was a dragon. She was born in 2012. Actually, the interesting thing here is the snake for. So Alex says he's a rat. Vanessa's a snake. Excellent. So I mean, it is interesting, as you say, the years, but it's also worth thinking that these years don't actually fit exactly, because when you say 2021 is the year of the ox, if you were born before today, so all of the kids born in January would not be an ox, they would still be year of the rat. So if your birthday is in January or early February, then you would be in this would be year before. So it's an unusual. So it's always worth having a look. But snake and the rat. So what about the rat, Yiming? What is the characteristics of someone who is born in the year of the rat?
If you know the story, where does the Chinese zodiac comes, you will know rats are quite sneaky. So he got some tricks to be listed in the first one. So in the positive way, we think people who are born in the year of the rat have some like a street wisdoms.
There we go, street smarts.
Yeah.
There we go for Alex.
Be very clever.
Yeah.
Very clever. How about the snake?
Oh, because snake is my year, I would say it's quite good. Quite clever, beautiful people, intelligent. But actually, I don't know much about snake.
I think I'm sure was it beautiful and intelligent. I'm sure people will be very happy to accept that.
Yeah, me and Vanessa.
Excellent. So this Chinese zodiac, I'm sure that many people find it very interesting, and some people will find it put more importance onto it than other people. And I'm aware that certainly if you are born in the year of the ox, so 2009, 97, 85, perhaps some people will then try to choose to wear some sort of red clothing during the year, more often, just to sort of celebrate, maybe a red, wear the socks or the ties or something. So I will be doing that again in 2030. So the next one we have, so we've seen one of these already today in our first performance, and I'd like to check, does anyone know, so Vanessa, Alex, anyone know what the name of this traditional Chinese musical instrument is? It has a very different sound. You can see it has the bow similar to a violin, but it only has 2 strings with the sound box at the bottom. Not sure. Yeah, as Yimi says, this is the erhu, and we have been very grateful. We have another friend of the Institute, Mr. Feng Yueping, has shared a performance, and this is what the erhu sounds like. And you can see for him, he's also wearing the traditional red clothing.
下面一首是金蛇狂舞。
Excellent. So yeah, as Yiming and Wenjuan have told us now, this is the Golden Snake Dance. Yiming says the theme for Snake New Year. Now I think might start to go a little faster through. We've got quite a bit left to go through. So I've been looking as well, when we come to performances like this, performance is one of the very large and important things for Chinese New Year. And it's centered around this picture. So what can we see? Does anyone know who this is in the middle? It's a harder thing to see. But this is from the show that went out, perhaps one of the most watched television shows in the world, almost without question. This is from the most watched show, because across certainly all of northern China and sort of central and China, then this is watched in almost every single household, and people around the world, no doubt, Yiming, Wenjuan, and Fan Liang, I'm sure you have certainly, if not watched it, but seen some parts of this. Then, but this is from the Spring Festival Gala. So any guess, who is this chap that's singing in the middle? Who can recognize him?
Recognize them both.
Watch it now to roast it. Of course, this is Jackie Chan.
Yeah, Changlong.
Changlong, Jackie Chan, who we usually know from Kung Fu movies, but he is also someone who you can't stop singing, as much as you might like to. He was involved in this. There were many people, many very famous celebrities. My wife particularly enjoyed when Andy Lau came on, who's a very famous Hong Kong person who I met at an airport once. He's a very, very small person. So this performance is watched by millions and millions and millions of people, and it starts about 8 o'clock in the evening and goes all the way through to about 1 o'clock in the morning, with music, comedy, dance, magic, every sort of performance that you could think of that will be coming here. We have had famous stars. They would have gymnastics, Cirque du Soleil type things, just all sorts, celebrating modern China, traditional culture. And in this case, this was celebrating responses to the pandemic. I believe this song that he was singing was Tomorrow Can Be Better, or 明天更好, 明天会更好. So it would look something like this. There was a large crowd all wearing masks, but it's a huge, very, very expensive show that sent out, that families will put on in the background. And as Yiming has said, some people will enjoy roasting it on the internet afterwards. I'm gonna well, we have a short clip here because these performances are not just online. All around the streets in China, there's often a loud and energetic atmosphere that people can call the zhenao, I believe. And we've also been sent a clip from our Chinese colleagues to share here about what this actually looks like and what are some of the performances that people see around the town. So. Oops. So you can see through this video that there is a lot of we can see a lot of the loud music. We can see the decorations and the lanterns. And I'm sure, how does that make you feel watching stuff like this?
It sounds like a local opera in the southern part of the China. I'm not sure where it is, but it sounds like
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sort of very familiar sort of.
It sounds like a Sichuan opera, right?
Yeah.
Is that in Chengdu, my province, the capital city?
Is this in Chengdu? This is. Let me just double check this one.
It sounds like a Sichuan opera.
I believe, is that in? Oh, I believe it's in Nanchang.
Yeah.
Lanchong, yeah. So it's a Sichuan province, my hometown.
This is from Nanchang, yeah.
Northern part of China, because the rhythm.
Yeah,
very typical.
And those street performances, we can also sometimes see the lion dances, many firecrackers, and you can very often see these lion dances around the rest of the world. In Coventry, in normal times, we would be having some of these performances. So I want to move on to one of the big aspects. So for people around the world, for almost every festival, food is important. But what foods for Chinese people? This is where we're going to move a little bit faster. So there are some differences between northern and southern China. So these are two of the main foods that across the whole of China. Two of the most traditional would be these two. Now, at the top, well, I'm going to start underneath because I spent most of my time in northern China, where jiaozi, dumplings, are very important. So the dumplings underneath, at the bottom, these are massively important to the people across northern China. So there is, in fact, from when I was living in Taiyuan in northern China, there was a festival where people would eat, around the winter, start early winter, where people should eat dumplings, and if you don't eat dumplings, they believe your ears will fall off because of the cold. No joke.
Yeah.
And so for in northern China, certainly a lot of my memories with the families around Chinese New Year would be everyone will come together to make these dumplings. So families will sit together and make these dumplings by hand. When the schools primary school groups that have the whole classes get together to make these. It's a very, very sort of communal group, communal meaning, and there are certain things around dumplings that would be important. So sometimes they might put a coin into one of the dumplings, and then you would have good luck if you are the person to get that dumpling. And of course, you don't choke on the coin. So there are many traditions in northern China around dumplings. I mean, it's they are very, very important.
What's your favorite flavor, George?
Sorry?
For jiaozi, for dumplings, what is your favorite flavor?
I don't like jiaozi. I try to avoid this. So this has been a big shame for my wife and her family that I've never really liked jiaozi. The only ones I maybe liked have been some shrimp dumplings, but they're usually not in jiaozi. They're something different. So I'm not a fan, but I'm a picky eater anyway. So in southern China, of course, the sticky rice cakes or niangao, which are up at the top, these are preferred. I think the best way to describe them that I've seen is that they are quite gooey.
Yeah.
It's sticky rice, very sweet, and it's an unusual texture. But they're very sweet, and I think there's a very different meaning. I'm not so familiar with these, of course, because obviously in northern China, that's not something that's pressed. I mean, the closest I think we have with that would be we have a red bean deep fried cake, which I quite liked. Again, the gooey texture and a lot of sweetness. So I'm going to ask Wenjuan finally, what other foods are important? What foods do you guys like for New Year?
So in China, actually, no matter which part of China, usually during Chinese New Year, we have fish and chicken, because fish represent we can save a lot of money. Just wish we can save a lot of money next year, and we also have chicken because it's like a very common meat in China, I think.
It's interesting to look, say, when you say chicken, we have it very differently, because of course you guys always prefer to have the bones in the chicken, and in the West we don't like that so much. What kind of fish?
Different part of China we have different types of fish, but fish is popular in the whole country. In my hometown, we have fish from the river, like a fresh water fish. But in the south of China, people have sea fish, like many different kinds of sea fish they have.
Great. So, Yiming, are there any foods that you would usually prefer to have at Chinese New Year?
I come from a northern family, so dumplings means a lot to us. We even have it on Christmas, so you can tell how obsessive we are with about that. So normally we will put the corns, the literal corns, into the dumpling. So we will have a competition. So who gets the most corns, who will have a best year like that. So I think it's a trick that my grandparents just force us to eat more.
Yes, the grandparents love to make people eat more. Everyone wants people to eat more around these years. It's
but melon dumplings,
absolutely. So let's move on. So as I say, we have another brief video from our friend in China about some of her food. Let's have a look.
The 21st day of La Yue in South China are the Xiaonian festival on the Chinese lunar calendar. It symbolizing the start of the Spring Festival. On this day, people usually do house cleaning and makes their homes ready for good luck. Today, after finish the house cleaning, I made a hot pot to celebrate the Xiaonian Festival with my family.
So that's the hot pot, and I believe I'm going to be having hot pot this evening.
I feel it's kind of mixed culture, because the hot pot is not very traditional hot pot in China that is kind of a Korean hot pot. Actually, it has cheese, ham in that. So it's very interesting to say more and more young people mix the culture from many different areas and religions.
Yeah, that's always a great thing to have, I think, to just give a different taste. If I'd seen that, I wouldn't have called that hot pot myself. I think it's somewhat different, but it looks very interesting.
Yeah.
So it's nice to share and see what's been going on. So I think the last one perhaps is one of the most popular, I think, and that's going to be about giving gifts. So gift giving. Now, many people compare Chinese New Year to Christmas for people in the UK, and I think that's quite a fair comparison, because for the UK around Christmas, we have all of our major holiday, everyone is off work, our whole year tends to be sort of around this, the holidays and our schedules. And it's similar in China, that the schedules for universities, for schools are put around Spring Festival, so that people in China are now on holiday for the next couple of weeks. So it's very difficult to get official things done right now in China, because everyone is off, the universities are closed, and people are relaxing and spending time, hopefully, with their families. But the next thing is that there is an aspect of giving some gifts. So the difference, however, is the gifts aren't the same as for Christmas. Now, children will, I'm not sure it's much of a gift, but it's very traditional. I think children will often get new clothes around New Year, quite red clothes. But the most important is, as Wenjuan, so excuse me, as Yiming just put into the chat, and Wenjuan has right there, it's the hongbao. Hongbao. So what's inside the hongbao? Show us.
So I just open it?
Yeah, show us, Wenjuan. Show us what you've got there. Oh, look at that. It's some red money.
Yeah.
So this is the fascinating difference. So in the West, perhaps people wouldn't be giving money. Money is not necessarily seen as the gift that people want for Christmas. I'm sure people would be very happy to get lots of money. But in China, hongbao means money. You know, if you've got a hongbao, that's money. And that's not just for New Year, that's also for weddings and for a lot of celebrations. Hongbao means this money. And that's something that people get, even as you say, Wenjuan is not a child anymore, but she still has a hongbao. So when Fengliang and Yiming, when do you think people stop getting hongbao?
For Chinese New Year, we give like young children or teenagers red envelope, under 18 years old, or before they start to work. When I was young, my grandparents gave me a red envelope. Even I was in college, they still gave me red envelope. Yeah.
So it's something that, and I say what Yiming is saying in the chat, that this is something until you have children, of your own, then you can pass them on. I think this is
like you always get the red envelope until you get your children. So they will give the money to your children and you still have that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that time you may need to prepare envelope for others.
Mm-hmm.
For the next generation.
Yeah, it is an interesting tradition, and no doubt at some point we are going to have a look at what happens with money and the different attitudes towards money in China and giving and the openness around that, which is very different to our own approaches in the UK. But I think we're coming towards the end, so don't have a lot of time, but we'll touch very briefly on some of the arts and crafts. Paper cutting, as you can see here, is one of the very, very popular arts that people will do with their family. That will be looking at taking some red paper and cutting out these wonderful patterns. And if you are interested in trying this in the future, when we are allowed to get back together, the Confucius Institute will be running sessions about how you can do this and how to try. Obviously, it takes quite a long time to try to get to the level of these people in these paper cuttings in the picture. And the holiday for Spring Festival lasts about 15 days, and I'm sure you're going to say it does officially last longer, but on the 15th day of the lunar month, the first month in the lunar calendar, there is a festival called Lantern Festival, and the streets are decorated with all of these colorful lanterns, and it's a beautiful thing. However, I'm sure many people have a bittersweet feeling about this, because this also means that it's time to go back to work. Is that fair to say, my colleagues?
Yeah, it is. So normally Chinese New Year is a celebration of 15 days, and Lantern Festival is the last day of that. So that is in lunar calendar, 15th of January. So after that, so the whole celebration is officially over. So people started to work after that.
Yeah, we'll have to go back to work.
We all have a last reunion for the whole family at that day. And after that day, people will get work, go to schools. Yeah, it's a short holiday, but it's a very, very popular one. Yeah.
So I'm sure that there are many traditions that I have left out in this session, but I'm hopefully covered some of the most popular. I think one of the key things that I've not really touched on is when has just mentioned, this idea of reunions and getting back together with a family. I mean, people travel in normal years, people travel thousands of miles to go back to their family, especially migrant workers who spend most of their year away from their hometowns. But this is, again, with so many traditions and so many things to look at, it's hard to fit everything in. So I think to finish, I would just like to ask, so Wenzhuan, Yiming, Feng Liang, could we finish by sharing what are your favorite aspects of the Chinese New Year? And if there's something, particularly now that all three of you are living in the UK, is there something that you perhaps miss the most?
I think for me, many Chinese people are very put the Chinese New Year in the very top of their favorite New Year, because they value their family relationships, and also value they all together with their love and all hope with the same target in the future. So, which is really important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, and for me, I think Chinese New Year is the most important moment for me to family reunion. We can enjoy our family time, and also the food is also a very important aspect of Chinese New Year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same. It's like when you were younger and you only care about the new clothes and write envelope, but when you become an adult, you especially when you live abroad, so it just makes you cherish more about family, mainly that.
Great.
Yeah.
So thank you all very much. I think that's going to unfortunately have to be the end of our session today. So thank you very much for everyone who's joined us today. I hope you learned something that's useful and interesting about Chinese New Year. And thank you very much for Feng Liang, Yiming, and Wenzhuan for sharing their experience of Chinese New Year. And well, we hope to get back together with all of you. And I will finish by saying 恭喜发财 and 新年快乐。
新年快乐，新年好，新年好，
新年快乐。